They think I'm dumb. That I've damaged and broken. Cons think they can outsmart me. Maybe they can, but I know how to fight. I know how to bring entire buildings down on smarty bots. My squad abandoned me in past, but I weakened them. Too weak to hold enemies off fast. I'm stronger now. Stronger and really, really mad. So come, those who think they so smart. See how much smarter you are than my hammers. I won't fail them second time.
Alright, hi guys. Welcome to my impressions of Planet X Neptune, Fall of Cybertron Sludge. So, this guy just came in, and, well, I'm going to be talking about him. Alright, so let's take a quick look at the box. Bam. Has a picture of Neptune's chest. Bland side. Awesome artwork on the back. Bland side. Bland side. Hi guys. Knocking over my background. Hitting my lights. Things are blowing up. Inside, he comes packaged in a inner box, which has a picture of basically Sludge's neck. And I love the inside of these boxes. I use the Planet X one as a background often. Let me rephrase that. I use the Genesis one as a background for images quite often because it's huge and really cool detail. So I save these things. But back to Neptune himself. There he is. There's Kalis. And there's Hasbro Grimlock. And I have 3 Dinobots. And I feel really happy about that. So with his fellow Dinobots, I think he looks pretty darn awesome, actually. I am starting to get giddy for the next guys to complete the what's a group of 5 called? Pentaset? Pentet? I think Pentet. But this guy is big. He is big and beefy and just pretty darn awesome. And I love that he has no blatantly obvious kibble because, hey, his head is right there, but that's hidden by the tail. A lot of people are upset by the tail being inflexible, but I can kind of live with it. Repro label. I put the Autobot logo there because that's where it is in game. It does kind of affect his light piping for the Dino mode, but I am willing to sacrifice that for fun stuff. But I'm willing to sacrifice that for accuracy and logo placement, I guess. Now, one thing that does kind of annoy me is this neck is, well, first off, to compare this to something that it isn't, and so I shouldn't compare it to this, there is Fans Project Columpio, who is also a Dinobot Sludge, a more classic style as opposed to the video game style. But Columpio has a like multi-segmented ball-jointed neck, and it looks so amazing to me. And like that is the one thing that I absolutely wish every single version of Sludge has. So the fact that the articulation in this mode for the neck is limited to basically this and some head movement with, of course, an opening mouth makes me a little sad. By the way, his teeth are sharp, and I have actually hurt myself trying to get the mouth open. One kind of annoyance I have with this figure is the neck is only attached to this plate via this peg, and that's the only thing that locks the neck in place in Dino mode. So you have to have it lined up and pushed in order to have the neck locked. It's pretty decent at staying locked, but not perfectly. But let's go ahead and talk about his articulation in this mode. Like I mentioned, his neck has that joint. It's got this joint. I already showed off the neck joint. I don't know why I'm doing it again. Hey, look, the neck came undone. His legs. This guy is on some sort of, you know, combination of ball joint, or it's on a joint that gives it basically the freedom to go wherever it wants to. It can go all the way around, and it can go in and out a bit. It's got a bicep swivel, it's got a elbow joint, it's got a itty bitty toe joint. Don't quite know why, but it does. It doesn't really do anything. His back legs has this thing, which is really just for aesthetic purposes. But strong, really loud ratchets. Bicep swivel there. Elbow joint that gives you, plenty of room, and another one of those toe joints. So some pretty decent movement for his dino legs. Now there is one other thing I want to point out. The arms, the dino legs, which are the arms in robot mode, have two basic positions. And as far as I can tell, you don't need to use you don't need to use the second position at all, because that is the position that looks best in both modes. But the other position that you can have the arms out is you pull them out and just slide them down. They're on a kind of double hinge here, and you just either pull up or down depending on which way you want to go. So you can pull the dino legs like this, and I think this might be the intended dino mode, because this looks weirder in robot mode. But everybody I've looked at and talked to says that this doesn't look as good as when the arms are up, or when the back legs are up higher. So, and I agree with that. So I kind of want to use this as the dino mode just to have some transformation in the arms, effectively, in these guys. But at the same time, I'd be sacrificing aesthetics just to have a more complex transformation. I don't know. As you might have noticed, I tend to leave them up because they do look better like that. See? Looks better. Another small nitpick I have is that the only weapon storage he has is you can flip that panel open and take one of his two hammers and put that basically there. Although I think I did mess around with doing both hammers, and it kind of works, but looks rather ugly. I'm not really super upset about weapon storage lacking, because often there's no real place for it. But other than that, his dino mode looks rather awesome to me. I absolutely adore the Fall of Cybertron chin spikes that this guy has on his head. There's no reason he should have it, and whatever dinosaur he theoretically would have been based off of doesn't have those. But I think they just look cool, so rule of cool wins out in this case. Also, I'm not sure this dinosaur actually exists as a dinosaur, but Shockwave wasn't exactly building a exact replica, so I can very much give leeway to artist interpretation. I do find his dino mode will be a little difficult to pose, because the legs are just so kind of short and unwieldy, but I like the dino mode. But let's go ahead and show off some other comparisons, shall we? Let's start off with adding in Optimus. We'll also add in recent Generations Voyager Roadbuster, who I picked up on a whim. And you can just see that Sludge is pretty darn massive compared to these guys. The mass of just his body is about the same as, rather the dimensions of his body are about the same as Roadbuster. The mass, though, is significantly more. Just the mass of the body itself is probably equal to the mass of Roadbuster completely. And for one other size comparison, because why not, he kind of had interactions with the Insecticons. There's Kickback in his bug mode. Not a fan of this figure. Just the insect mode itself is kind of difficult and unwieldy, and yeah. So if a third party wants to make some new Insecticons, I'm all for it. But before I take them away, let's actually show off some different size comparisons. He looks big and can squash the bug with his tail. Actually, speaking of that tail, I kind of like how it can move around, can kind of give some personality, like, he's a happy dog, he's a happy dog, he's a happy dog. You can use the tail to emote a bit, and I kind of dig that. And then there is one more size comparison that I want to do with this guy, who came in the same box as this guy. The Microblaze Creations Not Onslaught, who I don't think actually has an actual name, so I call him Not Slot. These guys are about the same size, you know, dimension-wise and mass-wise, you know, excluding the tail and all that fun stuff. These guys look like good contemporaries. But that's basically all I need to do for size comparisons, so let's go ahead and switch this guy over to robot mode, and I will discuss what I think of the Sludge in that mode. Do, roar! Alright, so here we are in robot mode for him, and guess what? He's big, he's massive, and he's pretty awesome. I love the way these guys look together. I like Sludge being slightly taller than Grimlock. Let's get you out of this shadow. I love this. This is awesome. I just need 2 more that are going to be about this height or so. Somewhere around there. You know, coming up to his, just about there. And darn it. Hey, I was making a point. Don't fall over while I'm making a point. Darn it, Slug is going to be the last one they release. And that's the one I was looking forward to the most. But, so, as you can see, the gray on the Planet X matches each other, and so does the gold. But the gray doesn't match this. The gold kind of matches this for the Hasbro release. I'm still okay with it. A lot of people are begging Planet X to make a Grimlock when they finish. I still don't think it's necessary, but at this point I wouldn't disagree that... I wouldn't turn one away, really. But let's go ahead and discuss this guy's articulation. His head is on a ball joint and can do basically whatever you want. Doesn't have a whole lot of side to side. Same information as the arms had in Dino mode. He now has a waist joint. He's got thigh swivels, or not thigh swivels, leg joints that are at an angle, so you kind of have to mess with them occasionally. But you can go, you know, far with them. You're drunk on the job. You can go wherever you want with the legs. He's got a thigh swivel, he's got a decent knee that technically is double jointed, and if you really want, you can pull the Dino leg out to go even farther with the knee bend. Or you do have to be careful of some stuff. And to my disappointment, there is no real foot articulation because there's really not a whole lot of foot. One of the issues I do have with Planet X is that they have a lack of feet articulation. His hands can swivel and can open and close. Now, when you first get this guy, these hands are rather difficult to pull in and out. I just unscrewed some of these screws a little bit, actually these two specifically, and have played around with it to get it to where it can slide in and out easily. I think I need to tighten it a little bit more to get it to stay out easily. But it's an easy fix. And one other thing about the transformation that I want to mention is that just like Kalis, this guy has his shoulders that pop out and move slightly down. And if you don't do that for Dino mode, you will not be able to get the neck to tab into the chest piece. It just will not work at all. I spent a good 20 minutes or so when I first got him forgetting about that and not getting able to lock into Dino mode, and it was rather frustrating. Speaking of Dino mode, I absolutely adore that they managed to get the head right there, just like the concept art shows. I actually really like how it looks with the Dino head staring at the back of the robot head. And the robot head, let's go ahead and Jump cut to robot mode head looking. What sentence was that, Brian? Look, focus on his head. Please focus on his head. He has a weird head that if you zoom in on it and look at it, he's not smiling. But you look at it from any other distance and angle and he's smiling. So I kind of wish they had done a slightly different face emotion. But I'm still satisfied with it. He's got really good light piping, as you can see. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I don't think that's the thumbnail, but hey, that's a cool picture. So that's the majority of him. He has these knee pads, which can flip up, but it seems that not everyone is getting springs in these, and obviously you can see that I have different levels of springiness in them. So this is a, not a guaranteed thing. As far as his accessories, he comes with 2 shotguns, really, that are pretty cool looking. But there's no real place to store them in either mode, robot or vehicle. They have robot or dino mode, other than basically on the ports on his arms. You can do that. I kind of think that looks silly, so I just set them off to the side anyway. But the real awesome weapon that he has are the pair of hammers that you guys have seen. These are actually really, really awesome looking hammers, and I kind of wish I had, I kind of wish I had one of these with a stem or a stick that is twice as long, so I can give it to my Ultra Magnus, because Ultra Magnuses need hammers, and this is an awesome hammer. And obviously he can hold them, because they are 5mm port handles. Yay, he's holding a hammer now and looking at you with a gun on his arm. That's a bad spot for a gun. But let's go ahead and pull this weapons off of him and do some more size comparisons, shall we? Let's. Alright, so Optimus, bam. He's short. Kickback, bam. He's also short. Roadbuster. Pretty decent height, actually. Bit taller than Roadbuster. About a head taller, it looks like. And a shot that I rather like. Shockwave. Actually, let's go ahead and throw in the other... Where'd your gun tip go? Found it. I really should glue this on, because I never ever take this off. So I should just go ahead and glue it on so it doesn't fall off like that anymore. But hey, there's Shockwave and his family photo album. Yeah, they're all just kind of trying to not stare at him, except for Swoop, who's like, I'm going to stab you in the throat. And the last size comparison, once again, is the Microblaze Creations Onslaught figure. So they are basically the same size, a couple slight height difference, but effectively they are good contemporaries to each other. They look like they would stare at each other from the battlefield and go, I shall defeat you. Both of them, because you have that moment of close-up on his face as he looks. Close-up of his face as he looks. Their eyes meet, and they kiss. I mean, they fight to the death! That's the way that the scene would play out in my head. So, for my final thoughts on Neptune here, aka Sludge, I dig him. He's not 100% perfect, but he is pretty darn awesome. And I am such a sucker for the Fall of Cybertron designs that this just makes me so happy. You do have some variations you can do with like the tail options, as I'm sure you guys have probably seen. You can throw them up in a more G1 style, but I think that looks dumb, so I don't do that. I love how the feet are, the Dino mode feet are in the back of the legs, and you can, I think you're actually supposed to do that, but I leave them out this far to make it so that I have more of a heel spur. So I just do that. Makes him slightly more able to stand. He doesn't have an issue standing, but why not use it if I can have it, huh? His transformation is pretty awesome, but takes a little bit of getting used to, and there's a little bit of a learning curve with it. So he's not a perfect transformation, but he's still interesting to me. I love how they managed to get both modes to look amazing. So I will very much forgive a slightly annoying transformation, since the final result is something so awesome. Yeah, he is an awesome figure. I really like him. If you guys are looking for a Sludge for your classics collection, he is one that I think would fit pretty well, because hey, a giant robot dinosaur is a giant robot dinosaur regardless of what aesthetic style he's really made for. I think he looks the best, personally, compared to the other deluxe scale, or classic scale Dinobots. But I'm also a complete bias for the game designs. So, basically there's my thoughts on the figure. I'm curious to know what your guys' thoughts are. What do you think of the Dino mode? What did you think of the comparison with the other guys? How did the group shot look to you? I'm actually really curious what you guys thought about that new intro that I just filmed. So please let me know what you guys think of that. Should I do more of that? Should I, spin that off into its own thing? Should I do none of that ever again? Should I stop stealing from Vangelis? Let me know what you guys think. Bye. Bye. Yeah, I think I should cut that.